So, Malevolent Rumble Lands just won back-to-back Legacy challenges. So, is this deck the real deal? Let's find out. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and the Lands Connoisseur Edison has asked us to play Malevolent Rumble Lands in Legacy. Now, Malevolent Rumble is incredibly popular in Modern and sees a little bit of Legacy play. Sometimes you'll see it in a lands-based deck, occasionally you'll see it in some sort of eldrazi-based deck as well. Specifically within the confines of a lands deck list, it's interesting because the cards go to the graveyard, so that gives you synergy with Life from the Loam, and you can put a permanent into your hand. And when you reach the mid game with lands, there's tons of times where you're like, damn, I really just wish that I had an exploration I could pop off so hard if I do, and Malevolent Rumble is a way to get that. So you have a decent amount of selection here between Once Upon a Time, Malevolent Rumble, Crop Rotation, and Life from the Loam. Now, if you're not familiar with these decks, they are, at their core, quite greedy. If we kind of swap these around a little bit, we are actually relatively light on green sources, especially if we end up wanting to cast some green card out of the sideboard. So when making mulligan decisions, that's something to keep in mind here. This is a little different than some of the lands decks that I've been playing recently. This one is much heavier on the tutoring because it does want to assemble Dark Depths plus Thespian stage as its primary way to win, and Urza Saga is probably the secondary way to win in this deck. As far as the sideboard goes, probably the weirdest thing here is Twin Shot Sniper. This is pointed very, very clearly at Magus of the Moon in particular. It's just something that you can do through a Magus to answer it, and with that and a couple of Dismembers here, you should be able to reasonably answer a Magus of the Moon in a prolonged game. Now, maybe you can't answer it immediately if your opponent just kills you 2 turns later, but you should be drawing to a decent number of outs here. I think the deck building is very good here. I am not going to claim that I quite understand everything, but it's clear that like a Dismember and a Disruptor Flute have made their way into the main deck, almost like there's a 17 card sideboard here, and some of it is just pre-boarded to have enough space. When I see like clear signs like that, it is an indicator that I think the deck builder knows what they're doing. I believe the person who won those back-to-back challenges is named Sprouts, so good on them. Follow their lists if you want to see some sweet land stuff. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into battle here. I'm recording this one before MagicCon Chicago, and I have a giant pile of cards that I will be taking to toamagic.com to sell. If you're ordering online, though, promo code ThrabenU will always save you 5% on your order, but if you are going to Chicago or another big event, consider checking them out. I have been very happy with their customer service in selling them cards in person. All right, let's battle. All right, we've got a weird-looking one to start off with. So I have Once Upon a Time. If I find Once Upon a Time and find a green source, the hand is reasonable but a little weird. And if I don't find that green source, or maybe a Dark Depths, this hand is just not playable at all. So what is that? Look at 5 or 17 hits. Yeah, and I even suppose it's closer to a look at 6, right? Because it could be my next draw step as well for the green source. I think that's fine. I calculated with the 5 looks and it was like 86. So I don't know, we're probably closer to 90. We're going to start on Once Upon a Time. I did find that green source. I'm going to pick that up. I think since I have Crop Rotation stage already, I'm just going to do this on Wasteland, despite the fact that I do have Wasteland. One of those awkward times where one of your tools is also one of the best things against you. So we are hoping for a non-blue deck, so Crop Rotation is more likely to resolve. And we're also hoping for a deck that can't just like kill me on turn 1, like Oops All Spells. We don't have Crop Rotation available right now. Alright, it is a blue deck, so if I can slow my roll on playing Malevolent Rumble, that would... Sorry, on playing Crop Rotation, that would be cool. Oh, hey, I like that. So I think we are going to stage Malevolent Rumble here. This will be Dazeable. That was a Force of Will pitching a Daze. So when you see something like that, it's usually an indicator that the opponent has something to do on 2 mana. You used to occasionally see that when someone wanted to do something like play a turn 2 Tarmogoyf or a turn 2 Psychic Frog or something like that. I am not sure exactly what it is going to mean here. It could mean Entomb plus Reanimate immediately as a 2 mana sequence that puts my opponent very far ahead. So we're going to try a Exploration here. That has resolved. There's land 1. There's land 2. I'll now throw down a map. Oh, nice. It just worked. We're in play. What else makes Force of Will over Daze makes sense? Brazen Borrower to bounce Pithing Needle? Then they get Wastelanded, and that's kind of awkward. No use of mana. I might have overthought it, and it could have just been a mistake. We'll find out. New Underground Sea, and probably another one. Oif? Doomsday. That probably races me. So my opponent wanted to work towards Doomsday mana, which is why they did not Daze. Because they needed black, black, black. Yep, this Pithing Needle is now rather inconvenient for me. I think my opponent needs to win next turn, in all likelihood, because I use this to tutor, I make a land drop. I use this to tutor for Dark Depths, I play Dark Depths as land 1, then I have 1 mana towards activating Thespian stage. I Crop Rotation for Yavimaya, does that change things? Play Dark Depths, this becomes Yavimaya, 1 mana, no, I need to draw another land. I have very little weirdo interaction that I could do to mess with what my opponent is doing here. Are they Esper or anything? Is this straight blue-black personal tutor? Yeah, this is blue-black with personal tutor. So we've got forces and dazes. There's a consider pile in here, but they're not doing it. That'll work. So I will tutor. We'll get the Dark Depths. I will play both of these, but I am not going to do the Crop Rotation yet, because there's some weirdo lines that could happen where I disrupt a Thassa's Oracle by, Talon Gates of Madara-ing it out of play. If my opponent, for some reason, plays a Thassa's Oracle without an empty library. I do not believe should happen. Alright. Battle. Street Wraith. That is a Jace Wielder of Mysteries instead. I don't have a way to disrupt that one. Right, I can't randomly phase out a Planeswalker with this, right? It's just creature. Yeah. Nothing else here is relevant. Unfortunate. We had our opponent dead on board. They killed us first. Yeah, sort of humorously, our own Pithing Needle ended up getting in our way. So, Disruptor Flute and Damping Sphere have text here. Not the most excited about either. Endurance has text here. I'm not very excited about it either. Doomsday is one of those decks that just kind of dodges stuff relatively well. I probably don't need Maze of Ith. I probably don't need Tabernacle. Occasionally there's some sideboard jukes. I think I can just kind of count on my deck doing things and stuff to beat the sideboard jukes. I think I am just terrified of dying to the Doomsday itself. I'll probably put an Otawara into the deck. I don't think I need Sajiri. I probably don't need a Dismember. That can give me this playing these cards. I boarded out a couple of lands. I could also just play a Karakas over something like the Pithing Needle. The Pithing Needle, I guess, can hit Jace Wielder of Mysteries. Volkite Lantern doesn't really need to be in the deck. Let's try that. This is a hand of Magic the Gathering cards. It plays a Damping Sphere on turn 2, and can maybe start wastelanding my opponent. I'm not particularly excited about this. I think it's pretty easy for this hand to fall apart, but I think just generally speaking, this is not going to be the sort of matchup that I am looking to play with this deck. I'll play out Yavimaya and pass. I'll technically have crop rotation available, but I can't really cast that card right now. It is just so incredibly risky to cast a crop rotation and lose my only green source. This Damping Sphere could get dazed. This Damping Sphere could be taken by a discard spell. Yeah. So now we need to like draw a Disruptor Flute or something to get the show on the road. Does not feel great. Urza's Saga would also be a pretty reasonable draw. I could crop rotation for it around days if I have to. Usaju's not doing a lot here. I'm just going to play this and actually, maybe I should just crop rotation for Wasteland. Maybe this situation is scarier than I think it is. This is good enough to get a response of some kind. It is a Flusterstorm, sure. I'll pay for one. Drats. So we still kind of succeeded in a Wasteland there, right? So we traded Talon Gates and crop rotation for Flusterstorm Lotus Petal. That's honestly okay. If we keep our opponent off of black, black, black for a little while, maybe we can get something done. New Lotus Petal and a personal tutor to find a Doomsday. Does Boseiju force a shuffle? It is a May search. Well, you know, I think this is where we're going. So I'm either taking that land or your Doomsday. Your call. Again, personal tutor tutors to the top of library, which is some wild tension here. Yeah, they're in the tank about it. They did not search. Okay. There is no follow-up land drop. So I have bought some time. So now I can try to get Life from the Loam stuff going. That is a force of negation. So my Life from the Loam is gone. I'll just make a regular-ass land drop. I've got nothing going on here. My opponent has a Doomsday, but no mana to cast it. The worst case scenario is that like they've got a Dark Ritual in hand and they just need an initial mana source to get going. Yeah, I guess. Just in case there's some weird graveyard-based juke here. And I'm passing the turn. I can turn Thespian Stage into an effective Bayou, I guess. Alright. So, land has happened again. And my opponent is fetching. It probably has to be Underground Sea, because, like, they need black, black, black. Oh, fuck, they did have the Dark Ritual. So this is Dark Ritual Doomsday. My opponent realistically probably has to make some choices here. They probably can't beat everything that I can possibly do. Like, I could attack their mana, I could slam a Disruptor Flute, I could Pithing Needle. I also have Otawara. That is likely to be less relevant. I can Thespian Stage their Underground Sea so that I have the mana to activate it. Alright, the pile has been made. I could hunt through the pile and try to figure out exactly what they did, but I'm kind of in a zero real agency situation, so I'm not going to do that unless I get a decision to make. So this is 4 to activate. I have 4 here. Mox Diamond does not currently seem relevant to me. I will just pass the turn with an Otawara bounce available, and I imagine that I am dead. Alright, there is a Brainstorm. So my opponent could now have access to something like Petal Petal Oracle after cycling like one more time. Okay, we're going to do this instead. So my opponent is presumably going to Street Wraith and then crack LED to get blue, blue, blue. At which point they can consider put a card into their graveyard. There's now 0 here, so it doesn't matter that I bounce the Thassa's Oracle. They've got it. And we lose this one, which is not unexpected given how the matchup lines up on paper. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and I could say all sorts of great things about them, but I'm just going to point to this number. I have 488 deck lists stored on this site. That should give you a feel for how I feel about this website. And if you were to go to my profile, you could see all the deck lists that I'm messing around with, including my EDH decks And you can even see some of the deck lists I record with before they hit the channel. Ooh. Alright, my opening hand is good here. I'm going to play Urza Saga and Mox Diamond on turn 1, as well as Ghost Vacuum. I believe that Bojuka Bog is the card that I am discarding to Mox Diamond here. Echoing Deeps can be a Bojuka Bog if it really, really needs to be. But if I play Ghost Vacuum on turn 1, I probably don't need a Bojuka Bog. The Junk Bog, play Saga, play Ghost Vacuum, and I have green up for crop rotation if my opponent points a Wasteland at my Urza Saga. We've got an Ancient Tomb over there, and a Chalice of the Void on 1. I don't think I am going to respond to that. On the off chance that my opponent is a blue Chalice of the Void Ancient Tomb deck, if I were to crop rotation to get rid of Urza Saga to get another Urza Saga, just so I have better life from the Loam and Echoing Deep prospects later. If I got Force of Will, it would be a pretty big blowout. So I'm not going to do that. Do I think that's likely? No. But is it pretty free for me to avoid? Yeah. Dark Depths. That is currently fine. We're just going to Yavimaya and pass, and my plan is fully just Urza Saga beatdown. So we'll make 2 Urza Saga tokens with this Urza Saga, and then we will Echoing Deeps another Urza Saga. Oh shit. I think I made the right decision. So yeah, on a Thespian stage as well. We've got a response. This is probably my... Oh, it's black. Interesting. So it's not Opposition Agent. I think this is just a Mox Diamond spot, actually. On a Mox Diamond, getting rid of Dark Depths. Play... No, I do not want that. Play Echoing Deeps as a new Urza Saga. Crop rotation. Getting... Fuck, I forgot about the Chalice. The Chalice was irrelevant to me. Got lost in the sauce. Got excited about Wastelanding Ancient Tomb. Opponent's at 12. I should have just attacked with Lava Spur Boots here. My bad. Didn't matter, but like very obvious misplay on my end. So what's my opponent playing? They want a fetch land in their deck while playing Chalice of the Void. So this could be some sort of blue-black artifact bullshit. This could be some sort of Karn One Ring deck. Why Prismatic Vista specifically? It's not going to be for Stalactite Stalker with Chalice of the Void in the main deck. Be for another Revolt card. It could be for a Delve card. It could be for multiple colors. It's a little hard to tell. Probably not Reanimator if they're playing Chalice of the Voids. I don't know. These are a thing I could bring. I could bring in this. I'm not going to Disruptor Flute when I don't quite know what's going on. But like if I assume Karn is a thing, or the One Ring is a thing, maybe I bring it in anyway. And I might just play Otawara as a catch-all for the I don't know what the fuck you are doing problem. Opponent could be on like Goyfs. Not Nether Goyf, but Borrow Goyf. I think I'm going to get rid of this shit anyway. And it's really hard for me to evaluate the flex slot lands. Tabernacle feels expendable. I will probably keep Maze of Ith. That's a fine thing to tutor for. I would not hate going down on 1-drops versus a known Chalice of the Void deck. But if I bring in answers to that, I don't know how necessary that is. The Jerry is probably cuttable. I'm going to do these for Karn. You? Little hard to sideboard in the dark here. My hand's great. Alright, there's Leyline of the Void. I did bring in all of my Force of Vigors already. This is not the end of the world. Green, black, Oromox deck. What is that? Oh, we are on my sort of bullshit. Alright. When you cycle this card, do some things. It's just a 5-mana 8/8. Okay. 5-mana 8/8 is cool. Always this. Probably discarding Wasteland. Probably always this. And then I'm going to pass the turn holding up Disruptor Flute and Boseiju with the current intention of Bosejuing Leyline of the Void. Ooh, opponent is low on mana. Do I want to give them more mana if they're low on mana? I would like to use my graveyard. I don't think I'm going to Boseiju that Leyline. I think I'm just going to try to kill them with Urza Saga while they stumble. We're kind of taking shots in the dark here. Like, my opponent is doing some sort of dinosaur stompy thing. Okay. Always Urza Saga, though? I think always Urza Saga. Then I'll pass with the ability to cast Once Upon a Time and Boseiju and Disruptor Flute. This is not bad. Okay, that's fine. Because I can just Boseiju their Disruptor Flute that they presumably put on Urza Saga. The Force of Vigors are much better than I expected. So I'm Boseijuing this. And before I get this comment, I can't Boseiju the Leyline and keep the Boseiju, so the channeling, the discarding, is done as part of the cost, so it goes to the graveyard before it destroys that Leyline. You have another one? Boo. Let's draw Force of Vigor, huh? Let's draw Force of Vigor. That is a Once Upon a Time. That's not getting me to where I need to go. I am going to play a Once Upon a Time immediately and make a land drop. I boarded out expedition map, question mark? Boarded out expedition map. I think I'm still going to pick up Dark Depths. I can play Dark Depths, it taps for mana, and then I can use Once Upon a Time, try to find the other half. We are in weird game territory, for sure. Once Upon a Time, Bojuka Bog and Wasteland, not what I'm going for. I will pick up a Wasteland. There goes a Force of Vigor, though. Exploration. So unfortunately our Urza Saga and just float mana here. Boots? I think I am grabbing Boots so that when I do get a Merit Lage, I can just kill immediately. But we are currently on manually remove ice counters dot plan, which does not feel good. My opponent's got nothing though, so, 10 turns of this will probably work, right? Probably. Well, I mean, fuck that card. I will still, I suppose, play it. Can work towards thinning a card out of my deck. Can work towards being 6 mana for 2 Dark Depths activations. Alright, no, opponent's got Stone Cold nothing. They probably have 30 power in hand, but can't do anything with said power. Alright, that is a Force of Vigor. That is very good. I would like to get rid of probably Disruptor Flute, Chrome Mox over Leyline of the Void. Like, I just know that my opponent is stuck on mana. Notably, Force of Vigor is only free on your opponent's turn. To get rid of Disruptor Flute, Chrome Mox will pitch the Exploration that is not castable. Alright, nice. So we will probably have my opponent on a 2-ish turn clock. So, I think at this point, we do one of these, and we just name some castable removal spell. I think I'm going to go with Sheoldred's Edict. This is just totally a shot in the dark here. But I am playing this Disruptor Flute so that my Urza Saga construct tokens are larger. That's a new Dark Depths. So do this. These are 6/6s. Hithing Needle, I guess. I've got something on Sheoldred's Edict. I've got something on the One Ring. Let's go Karn, the great creator here. I'll Lava Spur Boots on the one that can't attack yet. And this is most of my opponent's life total in one go. That is a Force of Vigor pitching Thrun the Last Troll. Sure. We picked the wrong random removal spell to name. C'est la vie. We've got another play. Abrupt Decay on Sheoldred's Edict. Maybe I did not pick wrong. Okay, yeah, opponent still can't play cards other than very inexpensive ones. That's a little weird. I'll hardcast that rather than pitchcast that. Yeah, that's fine. And then I can start trying to do Life from the Loam stuff. Yep, still no plays. So Chalice and Leyline with my own Force of Vigor. Once Upon a Time is totally fine. I'll, I guess, take a Bojuka Bog. I will play a Bojuka Bog, which I don't expect to be particularly relevant. And then I will do a 0 target Life from the Loam with the intention of dredging it next turn. This is turn 9. We have not succeeded in dealing any points of damage to each other yet. I believe there was one Prismatic Vista this game. Otherwise, we're just staring longingly at each other. Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. Alright, yeah and yeah. All right, fantastic. So now I will start to get Urza Saga tokens going. I have an Otawara bounce available for a permanent if my opponent finally gets another land. Sky Lasher. Reach Pro Blue. Sure. I have been this desperate before in deck building. I'm not going to Otawara that. That card seems very close to irrelevant. Wilson. Sure. Resolves. This one has Ward 2. I guess because I can just reuse it, I will now just do this. We're fine dredging here. All right, that is a Thespian stage. That is a fantastic pickup. So we'll Life from the Loam, get stage, maze, Otawara, 1 and 2. You have Ward. Yeah, you have Ward. We'll play this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with haste. I think my opponent has a Shoulder's Edict. I'm not just going to throw Merit Lage into that immediately. So let's just go bam and bam. Make a Gimungus creature and bash in. My opponent is at 13. Probably just facing down lethal next turn. Here is 3 mana for the first time. This has Vigilance, so the attack is free. Opponent is at 16, and we're chilling. I don't think I need to dredge Life from the Loam this turn. It's kind of free too, though. Alright, so Urza Saga activation. There is a 6/6. We can now get a Mox Diamond. The Mox Diamond discards a Depths. My Merit Lage should be safe adjacent now. So let's Thespian stage the Dark Depths. Going 1 and 2. Could be like an Assassin's Trophy. All right, keep the one without ice counters. All right, there is the Merit Lage. I'll now attempt to move Lava Spur Boots over there. Opponent could have like a Sky Lasher to block. Play Maze of Ith as my land drop. Oh, this also has Reach. Why does this bear have Reach? Explain it to me. Long Goodbye. Yeah, sure. The Wilson dies. I don't think I need to untap that. I've already made a land drop. I can cast a Life from the Loam. That seems fine. So we will go Saga, stage, going 1 and 2. And now I don't need to dredge Life from the Loam next turn. Note that I had another line this turn where I could just attempt to make a Thespian stage with the various Urza Saga abilities. But it seems like I am already burying my opponent. Opponent did not have to fetch there. They're getting another basic, it's fine, but otherwise that does currently tap for mana. That is another Long Goodbye. You now have Shoulder's Edict. They do. No dredge. Not really what I want. We will Wasteland Boseiju. I will, I think, just kill my opponent with Urza Saga tokens. That seems fine. The Urza Saga tokens are just big. Sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is just the degree of resources that I currently have, where it is just totally fine for me to do this. I don't think I need to dredge. Sure. So we will just Thespian stage here. There's another Wilson. Or rather, it is the same Wilson. So I'm going to make a thing. I'm going to copy a thing. Okay. Opponent is giving us the GG there. We did not really see their deck do anything. So they're presumably building around this card. There must be other things that are buffing them, or there must, like, maybe I got my calls correct on this. It is really hard for me to tell what my opponent was trying to accomplish there. Regardless, GG's. Okay, my hand is perfectly reasonable here. I'm going to get Once Upon a Time to sculpt things. You could make an argument that I should play Once Upon a Time prior to my opponent making their land drop in case they are a Daze deck. That is Snow-Covered Mountain and pass, so we presumably have Blood Moon in our future. We're going to start here because I'm going to Mox Diamond this turn. Picking up a basic forest is perfectly fine. Picking up a Boseiju is fine, but I already have one. So I will go basic forest here. So let's Mox Diamond. I will discard the ETB tapped Bojuka Bog. I'm going to go basic forest here into Malevolent Rumble. Ooh. I want to pick up Urza's Saga. So if my opponent just plays a Blood Moon and that shuts off Urza Saga, I just Life from the Loam, return Dark Depths to hand, play Dark Depths with 0 ice counters, because that's how that works with Blood Moon, and then Boseiju a Blood Moon. Wasteland would be cool after seeing that. It seems like we're probably playing against Painter. I can Echoing Deeps a Bojuka Bog right now. Our opponent is going for Painter. I get one land drop immediately, so I have to make a choice here. No, I don't. No, I don't. Copy Bojuka Bog. Bojuka Bog that shit. Malevolent Rumble. Map matter. Does depth matter? Depths doesn't matter. Take map. So I've made a mana back. I will now Boseiju that Urza's Saga. Now my opponent does not get construct tokens / artifacts. Alright, I've made land drop. I'll pass the turn. I now have like some Life from the Loam, get back real Bojuka Bog the graveyard again, sort of lines. Karn's annoying. We'll see what my opponent tutors for. Coding's pretty good here, and it is coding. So this is not mana right now, which is a pain for me. So the issue here is that this Karn can also represent Ensnaring Bridge. So I can't just work towards a combo kill easily. I think I am getting Boseiju so that I can Boseiju the Liquimetal coding. I actually need more green mana, assuming this gets blown up. They might not know that, though. Alright, so let's go Urza's Saga. Life from the Loam, target Boseiju, Depths, and Bog. Paying 1 and 2. And then I will play out an Expedition map that currently does not work, but is just Urza's Saga fodder for later. I don't mind if I trade Saga for Liquimetal coding. I don't think I can Wasteland my opponent in the turn cycle that I just did, because I think I lose Forest too high of a percentage of the time, and it's just disastrous. There's an Urza Saga of my opponent's own. I can, in theory, answer that with a Wasteland. My opponent should be able... Ooh... What are you gonna do with that? Like, am I going to lose access to my Urza Saga? Am I going to lose access to Wasteland? The Boseiju, maybe? The Boseiju seems obvious, now that I'm talking through it. Yeah. Shit. I'm going to get a love tap for 1 here. Not going to get a love tap for 1. So my opponent can use Liquimetal coding like a Rashadan port here. And it is quite good to do so. Alright. I'm not dredging right now. A new Urza Saga. So on my opponent's turn, this forest will become active again. So I am going to Wasteland their Urza's Saga so they can't start getting artifacts. I'll pass the turn. I can have a 3/3 token, and then my opponent can blow up my Urza's Saga, and we'll try to figure out life from there. Yeah. So this is not great for me. I am probably just losing a land every turn. Ooh, a lightning bolt clears that. Oh, and there's more. Sure, that's fine. I am at 18. I believe that I am mostly drawing towards exploration. I think if I hit an exploration and I can try to do Dark Depths stage in the same turn cycle, there's like some chance for me. But I don't get to draw life from the loam here. I mean, this is the only thing that I can use my mana on, so sure. Alright. I will pick up an Urza Saga. We are going to play these Urza Sagas mostly to protect our actual factual forest. I guess I could also draw like a crop rotation and use that in response to Karn targeting my shit. So Urza Saga is going to go bye-bye. And I'm going to slowly get beaten to death. It's currently 3 damage per turn cycle. My opponent doesn't really have a reason to leave Goblin Engineer up right now. Again, we're trying to draw exploration. We are not succeeding. So I am doing this thing again. And it does not feel good. This does not bring joy. So the whole Karn Plus thing happens again. Ooh? Yeah, that's not great. That is just going to be representing copy Goblin Engineer, get relevant cards, bring relevant cards back. Ugh. I'm still live. I hate it. So now my opponent gets some selection, and there's presumably a couple of Pyroblast style cards that are just kind of stinkers over there right now that have just been rotting in their hand the whole game because I'm not a blue deck and they don't have Painter. Oh, I'm wrong. It's Lightning Bolt and a land. Opponent is tutoring this turn. Oh, I'm just dead. There's a Painter's Servant. Everything is blue. My opponent might need this treasure. No, they would need one more mana to go off. But I guess this just means that they kept a Pyroblast. And now, like, whatever I do just gets countered. Yep. Mox Diamond not going to do it. I'm comfortable conceding here. GG. Alright, Force of Vigor in, Disruptor Flute in, Otawara, Endurance, Twin Shot, Sniper are all playable. Dismember playable. That stuff I'm never touching. So, what don't I need? The Jerry is not super strong. Tabernacle does stuff. I don't know that it's exciting stuff, but it does stuff. I think that's a little hard to cast. I want to go down on artifacts because my opponent is a Karn the Great Creator deck, but at the same time I do kind of need to respect the graveyard with I think at least one tutorable graveyard answer. I'm going to keep Ghost Vacuum. And this is where not being the person who built this sideboard means that I don't fully understand how the in-out numbers are supposed to work. I'm going to try to trim that. Is Tabernacle better than Maze? I want like one of those two cards. I'm having trouble on cuts. I'm going to trim Expedition Map. It's an artifact. And then trim one Life from the Loam. I expect the game to go longer. Once Upon a Time matters a little less. I'll do that so that I am less dead to a Magus of the Moon out of the board. Forest Exploration, Dark Depths as second land drop, have Life from the Loam, have a Disruptor Flute. It's a little sketch. I turn Dark Depths into another mana-producing land, or I turn Forest into Yavimaya, and then 2 mana Life from the... this is probably going to be fine. It could be a little sketch in the short term, though. The Forest, Exploration, Dark Depths, pass. Mountain? Welder, that's fine. The second Dark Depths is a little awkward here. I think I'm going to live with that. So I junk my Forest, specifically, to get Yavimaya, because doing that is the way that I get to Life from the Loam immediately. I make my second, I make my first land drop. I could play another Dark Depths. That's not really fantastic. I think I'm just going to hold up Dismember and not have Disruptor Flute available immediately. I'm willing to take one from a Goblin Welder, but if I could instead answer a more expensive card, that would be cool. Opponent's up to 3 mana now. That resolves. So if you're not familiar with this interaction, now when a Dark Depths enters play, it will enter with 0 ice counters. And as it would so happen, I have 2 Dark Depths. Dark Depths is a legendary land. I'm just going to take this damage. It is simply not relevant to remove Goblin Welder right now. I will dredge. I will float a red mana. I will play a Dark Depths. I will keep the Dark Depths with no ice counters. Now, as soon as I remove this Blood Moon, I will get a 20/20. I will now Life from the Loam, get back that Dark Depths, and I can pass the turn with Disruptor Flute or Dismember available. And now we just wait until we dredge a Boseiju. Opponent has another city, which are now stable lands. Okay, that's a little annoying. I am okay continuing to eat Goblin Welder damage, though. So we dredge. Those aren't particularly potent lands. Saga, stage 1 and 2. Land drop 1. All the rest of these just immediately die. So I'll pass the turn here. We are going to have some bullshit to work through. Still believe it is not correct to kill Goblin Welder. I don't really know what to Disruptor Flute yet. So I will simply not. So I will pick up that basic forest. I will play that land and pass the turn and hope we don't get 20 turn clock by a Goblin Welder before I find Boseiju. Or if we find Otawara, I could start looking for a Mox. Yeah, that's fine. At this point, I will reluctantly eat the Welder. It becomes more of a problem later if I don't. Dredgeloam. Found Talon Gates of Madara, which is, of course, a mountain. I could pay 4 mana to put it onto the battlefield as an additional land drop, but that's not exactly good in my current circumstances. Just another land drop for my opponent. We'll keep dredging. It's more fucking Dark Depths. Alright. I'll take it. Yeah. Pass. 3 mana play. The Noble Simian Spirit Guide has arrived. Yeah. I don't think I was supposed to junk those in response, but... Oh, right. No, there's tension there. Alright, we have gone through about half of the deck trying to hit a fucking Boseiju. All we can find is Urza Sagas and Dark Depths. So now my opponent can attack with this, though. So I am going to take 3 per turn cycle from that. Not great. Okay, that's a land drop. Boseiju. Oh my god. 0 target life from the Loam. I'll take 3 more from this. I am at 7. Dredge. Okay, there we go. Boseiju. So now I can get an instant 20/20. I don't think I need to do it now. If I do it now, I can have Urza Saga tick up. So, okay, that's probably reason enough. So I start by junking the Blood Moon. And then as soon as this ability resolves, this is going to happen. I'll float a mana. I get my 20/20. Here's land drop 1. Here's land drop 2. I'll pass. So I'm not getting beaten to death by Simian Spirit Guide anymore. Next turn, I Boseiju and Snaring Bridge if my graveyard does not get cleared. I will respond to that. I am just going to name Grindstone in response to that going on the stack. The reason to do that is so that... Well, I guess a Pyroblast can just kill it afterwards. Maybe that was just wrong. Yeah, that was probably just wrong. Yeah, I fucked that up. Okay, I mean, it's happening anyway. It looks like I am just going to die to Grindstone. Yep, so that is Grindstone plus activate. Yep. Opponent put it together. We went a long time without finding a Boseiju. Sometimes that's how it goes, though. There's 2 of them. We found one when we were halfway through the deck. That's probably not all that statistically on average. All right. Our hand is perfectly fine. We can get really out of line with explorations here. So we can go land drop, exploration, that like second land drop, second exploration, looting. We dredging? We are dredging over there. All right. Well, maybe we can accidentally our way into Bojuka Bog, huh? Wouldn't that be cool? Wasteland is acceptable. I'll pick that up. I will go Yavimaya, exploration. We're going to get an Urza Saga ticking up immediately, which we will use to play exploration. And then I am going to play Wasteland to Wasteland Volcanic Island to make it less likely that my opponent can play a follow-up Faithless Looting or whatever. Ooh, it is a Satoru the Infiltrator build, which can make the Narcomoeba style cards dredge rather than drawing. So unfortunately, my opponent was still able to do a Faithless Looting afterwards. So this is going to be kind of a, oh god, this turn is going to be very bad for me. So my opponent can now Cabal Therapy. They are probably not going to want to put my Life from the Loam into my graveyard for me. But they can then Dread Return afterwards. And there is now an Anger in the graveyard, so stuff is going to have haste. This was an exceptionally high rolling turn for my opponent. I don't think I am literally going to die, but all I'm saying is Tabernacle would be pretty fucking cool right about now. Like, Tabernacle and Bojuka Bog are now a really big deal. The Toru is now going to get a dredge. And it's a lot of stuff. I am taking what, like 10? Yeah, I am taking 10. So like I literally get one look at a card. I'm dead. I am just going to die on turn 3 after blowing up one of my opponent's lands. That's a shame. My hand was incredible. Like my hand is so strong, but I am just literally dead on board. Fucking rough. Alright, so Graveyard Hate in, obviously. Disruptor Flute has some text I'm not too excited about. Same kind of with Damping Sphere. This is much more of a like crop rotation Bojuka Bog or naturally have Graveyard Hate in the opener sort of matchup. Ithing Needle's not exactly fantastic. That can probably go. Paying life to get rid of my opponent's creatures isn't exactly fantastic. I think Lava Spur Boots can go. I think I just have better targets, and then I'm thinking about like these other Disruptor Flutes. I can often see stuff coming in the graveyard and take it out. Just like stop a Dread Return or a Cabal Therapy from happening, and then that makes Poxwalkers much weaker. But it's not exciting. I have some like Maze of Ith, Talon Gates of Madara style lands that are a little weak as well. I could go down on some of those if I want to play more Disruptor Flutes. I'm not really sure that I do. I think I'm going to play one and just keep some bear, like keep a Poxwalker in check stuff going on. I mean, it's turn 1 Bojuka Bog. What more do you want from me? It is hopefully turn 1 Bojuka Bog that then takes out a non-basic land or two. My opponent is on 5, but that sure didn't matter last time, huh? Scalding Tarn and pass. I'm going to get Urza's Saga going because that represents another piece of Graveyard Hate. And I'll pass. Cephalid Coliseum. LED. Pastor. Another LED. So Cephalid Coliseum is not a card that is live immediately. My opponent does need Threshold for that to do its thing. Opponent says getting a little bit of lag. Yeah, no worries. I think I'm going to Wasteland on my own turn. Okay, we have successfully killed that land. That is great. And we don't super care if we lose the Urza's Saga. Alright, here we go. That is a breakthrough. So my opponent is junking their entire hand here off a Golgari Thug. I mean, yeah. I'm going to do this. Opponent can cast Otherworldly Gaze in response, but probably not do anything cool with LED mana at instant speed. Another Otherworldly Gaze. Yep. So we bog our opponent, and, you know, that's pretty easy win there. That's a game where my opponent would have loved to draw Cabal Therapy, because I think it's very clear that I have crop rotation in my hand. Like, if I kept a 7-card hand like that. I think I am whacking the submit button. Again, there's some of this, like, Damping Sphere, Disruptor Flute type stuff that is playable but unexciting. So the Bojuka Bog is in hand, which is a thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It means that I can't do it at instant speed. So the hope here would be that my opponent dumps a bunch of shit into the graveyard on turn 1, and then I just do a ETB tap Bojuka Bog and get a ton of value. So before I Mox Diamond, let's do this. The Illusion of Choice, I will pick up a Yavimaya. So since I have 2 Dark Depths, 1 Dark Depths can go here. And now I am debating, do I want to tick up towards more Graveyard Hate, or do I want to try to kill my opponent as quickly as possible? I think I want to tick up towards Graveyard Hate. I think I'm trying to use Bojuka Bog to get through the first wave. All of those are a little mid. I'll pick up Maze of Ith. And we pass. Alright, that is a breakthrough. So my opponent junks their entire hand. And we have Bojuka Bog naturally in hand. I will not Dredge Life from the Loam. I've got some very good draws like Exploration here. Got him. Yeah, we have gotten the GGs from the opponent. I think they had below average hands in some of those games, to be honest. Like, they did not have the ability to Cabal Therapy me and try to stop what I was doing. I think they mulliganed to 5 every game. But yeah, with Exploration, Dark Depths, Thespian Stage in hand, Urza Saga ticking up, we very, very easily got it from here. This seems like a no. I don't have a source of card advantage. I don't have an A plus B combo for crop rotation. No life from the loam. I don't like it. This I like a lot. I'm going to put the Tabernacle back in the deck. It is the least likely to be relevant in 100% of the matchups. Like, there's so many times where that just misses. Nobody say anything. Nobody say a word. All right. We Exploration. I think I don't Urza Saga immediately. I think I just play a basic forest. Then I can't get wastelanded. And maybe set up better to do some Malevolent Rumble based lines. I think I am not intending this game to go long. Like, I think I am probably going to just try to build a 2020. But damn, that Tabernacle, though. Against either a mono white or Boros energy deck. Like, it's kind of nutty. Slightly more awkward now, but, you know. I mean, shit. It's not like I'm not going to try it, you know? Yeah. Stage. Target Dark Depths. Pay. Keep the one with no ice counters. And we're going to do that immediately so that Wasteland does not disrupt it. My opponent could still have Swords to Plowshares or Solitude. An Ocelot Pride attack is not putting them outside of range. Okay, they are red-white. There's an Amped Raptor. Opponent gets a new Ajani. They can turn into a Planeswalker. They get a 2/1. And they Planeswalker. Oh, the +1/+1 counters actually keeps my opponent alive. They go to exactly 21. Yeah, that was a lucky Amped Raptor then. So I will block and take this down. There's a decent amount of power on board. So I can get Tabernacle, kill one of my opponent's creatures, get Maze of Ith. I'm probably going to end up getting a Maze of Ith. I can cast Malevolent Rumble, though, before I fully commit to something. Let's do that. Wasteland is good. Let's grab Wasteland. Play Wasteland. Wasteland Plateau. I have another land drop. I can cast Life from the Loam. 1, 2, 3 targets. Put a new green producing land. I'm an idiot? Oh, right. I played Wasteland then. Oops. Yeah, I fucked that up then. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or 13. 0 ability deals me 4-ish damage. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think I fucked that up. There's a chance that I won't stabilize here. Because I messed up specifically. I think I punted this game. I might not. Like, sometimes I just get a Tabernacle, have 2 blockers, blow my opponent out. Ooh, there goes my second blocker. I'm at 4. I'll dredge. Cast Life from the Loam. Maze of Ith is a great pickup. Yeah, and yeah. Yavimaya for 1. Maze of Ith for the other. Crop rotation. Sacrifice Yavimaya. Pick up the bottom card of my library. Ye Old Tabernacle. And now I don't take damage anymore, at least not in the short term. And then once I feel like I am stable, I can 2-turn clock my opponent. I'm still dead to some stuff, but it might take more than 1 card. Note that I think I have this game. Ooh, hoo, hoo. But I'm trying to be a little extra safe. All right, so when the stack clears, this is where we're at. I'm going to take 2 damage this turn. Opponent can blink out my Merit Lage. Maze this. Grudge. So for 2 mana, I cast Life from the Loam. I think I needed to leave Yavimaya in play and rotate a forest out. If I leave Yavimaya in play, these are valid mana sources. I can maze one of these and then die to the other. I need 3 land drops here. Yeah, I needed to leave Yavimaya in play. I think I punted this game 2 separate ways. That's on me. Let's see if we can get ourselves out of this. So I don't really need Ghost Vacuum, Soul Guide Lantern, Disruptor Flute, Pithing Needle. A Dismember is fine. Picking up a Caracas is fine. I can just swap for something like Bojuka Bog. I could play Twin Shot Sniper as removal. Opponent does have a bunch of small creatures. I think I'm actually going to play Disruptor Flutes for the backside of Ajani. That's a little bit of a pain in the butt. And then I could think about Endurance. Just as a dude that gets in the way. Something like this is fine. This is an okay hand. I don't actually know if this is a keep. I don't have any acceleration here. I don't have any interaction here. So what I'm doing is just turn 2 Naked Life from the Loam, and my opponent is probably playing on basic planes a lot of the time, so my Wasteland doesn't do anything. I think I can probably do better, and I think this is going to be better on average. I am just going to get rid of a Wasteland here, I think, and we'll use Once Upon a Time to try to figure out what direction we're taking this game. Hey, Wasteland came back. I think that is my least valuable land. On a Mox Diamond, discard Wasteland and try to play an Urza Saga game. That pivots into Dark Depths later. That pivots into Dark Depths immediately. Due to crop rotation, my opponent will probably Wasteland me in upkeep. Yeah, sure. That's fine. Just passing the turn here. This is where we want those mid-range cards like the Life from the Loams and the Malevolent Rumbles. Sure. Stage and pass. Second land drop. An opponent is passing. Because I have nothing else to do with my mana, I am just going to make Thespian stage tap for green. Dark Depths pass. I imagine that my opponent is double fetching to do something like a Felia here. So there's both basics. No. This just smells like removal. I'm going to try to shut off Swords to Plowshares as an out to my creature here. We could get eaten by something like a Solitude next turn instead. Now I have to decide if I want to try to beat my opponent with Urza Saga. Sure. I think this incentivizes me going for it on my opponent's turn. Alright, there is Felia. I will be dismembering Felia. I'm going to try to get my opponent to commit more mana worth of stuff pre-combat, though. Like, try to set up a blink target. So, I want 1 and 2 for this. So we can go bam, bam, a 1 mana. Felia goes down. Okay, I mean, that's a 1/1 blocker. That's annoying. I was trying to just finish my opponent instantly. That's not going to happen anymore. Stage. Target Dark Depths. Keep the one with no ice counters. And we've got a 20/20. Raucous is fine. I'll hide that for a minute. So now there's some stuff like Prismatic Ending that could answer my Merit Lage. That's very unfortunate. But if I let the Felia attack, I lose Mox Diamond. And I'm not exactly keen on that happening. I can potentially just Urza Saga beatdown. Sure. So I will obviously respond by making my friend. And this gets blown up. I will pick up a basic forest. This is a flying first strike creature, so my opponent can stay alive for another turn with a chump. Oh! Okay, that's pretty good. So, in for 20. I think I don't play Caracas to just, like, not let my opponent know that that's coming and hope that they pass the turn, thinking that Felia is what they need to be working towards. Notably, my window where Disruptor Flute has shut off Swords to Plowshares is closing. Yeah. I might be losing this one now. Alright, there is a card draw. Now my opponent can potentially be flashing in Felia. Rough. So now my Disruptor Flute is just taxation. It is no longer shutting off a card. I think this game is likely over. Wow, my opponent binned a Wasteland. That card seems very good to me right now. Sure. A crop rotation on my end is honestly kind of mid. Just taking 1 from Guide of Souls. I don't like get Maze of Ith or anything here. I think I need to use this crop rotation for some sort of win condition. I might be in a bad enough spot that it just has to be Urza's Saga and not just hope to spike the 20/20. The Jiri is not a great draw. I am probably just going to discard that. Grow my Urza's Saga token, and I guess I will put this in play. My opponent did not play Felia just to get energy there. I think is something that I would have done. Yeah. So now my opponent's Felia can go unchecked with Staff of the Storyteller. And my cards don't do a lot. Yeah, so if my opponent played Felia end of turn, I would bounce Felia, and then my opponent could have one more energy. I think this is just gonna go wild. Not anymore. So since my opponent's creature is going to fly anyway, we'll do this. They're at 15. I will Boseiju the Blood Moon so that I can bounce the Felia. We're in horrible shape though. I am, a life from the Loam away from going ham, but I do not have a lot of time. Like, Guide of Souls, even kind of assuming nothing else good, yeah, yuck, will just kill me in 4 combats. So yeah, I will use that ability. I'll pick up my last basic, and now I don't get to take out my opponent's stuff. Notably, if they had played Felia that extra time at my end step and then played pre-combat Felia, I do some silly. They get to attack me for more damage there. But at this point, the Felia gets to attack, blink out the construct token, and I am basically dead. So I think I punted game 1 of that last game, but that matchup did not exactly feel great for me. GG's. All right. Overall thoughts on the deck list. It seems solid. I found myself wishing that I had more gas. If I was going to play this again, I would want more 2-drops in my own list personally. I just really wanted like Life from the Loam or Malevolent Rumble to dig for specific cards in a lot of cases. Unlike many of the other lands decks that I have been playing in the past, this is not like a 4x Maze of Ith deck where like you just have so many ways to be safe from creatures. You have to dig for them. And so I wanted a little bit more dig. The deck was hard to play. That tends to always be true for lands. I pointed out some of the lines that I missed, and there were plenty more that I didn't talk about, and I'm sure more that I just didn't see. Generally speaking, my matchups felt pretty polarized today, where they felt very, very good or very, very bad. That's not surprising. We don't have things like Ancient Tombs and Spheres to accelerate out, your Damping Spheres, your Sphere of Resistance, Disruptor Flutes, and whatnot. So it's really hard for us to line up things that are powerful versus combo, unless it is graveyard-oriented combo, in which case, we have 4 crop rotations, Bojuka Bog, 2 artifacts, 3 fairies, and an endurance. Like, it seems like we are pretty good, or at least reasonable, against combo that touches the graveyard, and spell-based combo like Doomsday is going to be a problem. Generally speaking, I'm going to give this deck a thumbs up. I would probably adjust it a little bit for my own style, but obviously the person playing this won back-to-back challenges, so, the deck itself is probably good in this iteration, and maybe it is me that just needs a few more reps to get a feel for how exactly this is meant to be played. I do think the sideboarding was a little tough with this deck, and that's just the sort of thing that comes with playing the exact same list again and again and again. So I was probably in the ballpark of correct, but the details were probably sketch. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed. If you need to pick up a tabernacle or anything, you know where to go. Promo code ThrabenU. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya!